As the audience, what do you see?
5.
Number 5.
Everybody see?
I'm holding up a piece of paper with 5 on it.
That's right. So if that's your speech, yeah, that's what your audience sees.
Right.
However, as I showed, let me show you what the speaker sees. He sees all the mistakes he made getting to the 5 during his speech. He also sees, or she sees, all the things they left out of their speech which they intended to say, and all the little detours they made during their speech. But the thing as a speaker, when we evaluate a speaker and think, we did terribly, well, we're a lot better than we think we are. Because the audience don't see the gaps, we don't see the detours or the ramblings we made during our speech, and we don't see the mistakes that we made. All they see is our speech. So I implore you, when with Stella very kindly is actually loading up the videos onto YouTube, and Tony has put a load of videos up on YouTube as well, I implore you to actually go and look at your speeches with an open mind, because you are a lot better than you think you are. Okay. Welcome to the Estonia, and our first speaker, who I've forgotten, is Samara.
And please, before she begins, can we do a little housekeeping? We all know where the loops are and the exits, except for the windows. And please, can we put our phones on vibration or silence? Thank you. And please, if we did take speech titles, so if you don't mind, before we begin to time you, you can tell us the speech title before we start your speech normally. Yeah.
It's called Born That Box. Like born? Borning?
Yeah.
Born the
box.
Okay. Born the box.
Should I start now or confused?
Yeah, can you take a couple of steps back?
Yeah?
Yeah, in between those two walls.
Ready
I
to
feel like I'm going to
It's
be
because
a
you're the
movie
first
or
person, so.
Okay. So I want to invite everyone here to come with me in this journey that I have been for the last 2 years maybe, since I came to UK. So how this thing happened is that I started thinking about the speech for today. So I was thinking, okay, what should I write about? I might start with why I came to UK, how I ended in Bournemouth, like anything about this town, or why did I decide to leave my family, my friends and everybody and just start from scratch. And I realized like I was just so confused about the topic and about myself. So I thought it's going to be easy to just talk about one book that I like, maybe, or talk about my job because I have been working in the same sector for 6 years. So I could talk about that quite a lot. But that's not myself, that's not my identity, that's not my essence, it's just something that I do and pay the bills. Sorry. So I thought I'm going to go back to 2-3 weeks ago when Tony asked us to write, why are you doing this workshop? So I went back to my notebook and I just read this. And it says that I'm here in this workshop because I want to deliver inspiring speech from my heart that motivates the audience and helps me grow. So I thought, why am I doing this? Why I want to talk about books, people, other stories? I just should be myself and not worry that much about giving this amount of knowledge. I just should be myself. But then I thought, who am I? Like, really, if I'm not what I know, and if I'm not what I have, then what I am. So I was thinking, well, I really know what I'm not, because for 30 years, everyone And everybody has been telling me what I'm not. I'm not good enough. That's what the world is telling me all the time. So I wrote that because that's what the world is telling you, right? So you are not good enough unless you have an iPhone 7, maybe. Unless you have the right pair of jeans. You cannot even put a post-it on yourself. So I was just like, what should I do? What should I talk about? I'm just going to ignore that. I'm talking from my heart tonight, right? Maybe that's why that one fell. And I realized that there is something very particular about all the people that we call leaders. They are not perfect. They are not outstanding in every single sense. They are just unique and passionate, and they are a little bit crazy, but in a good sense, because they don't worry. Like, let's imagine Elon Musk is trying to send people to Mars. Is he worried about wearing the right pair of jeans or something? He's not thinking about it. He's spending, I read, 100 hours per week working. Clearly his family life sucks. Like, he has been in different marriages twice, 4 times, I don't know how many times. But that's his passion, that's his thing. He's not worried about everyone else and what is my colleague thinking about me, or he's just following his passion and his desire. So I was thinking, what is that? What is that burning desire? What does that mean? So if it's not my heart, it's not my thoughts, where that desire lives? So for me, it's something like a little spark somewhere. I'm not really sure where. But it's like when you make a small fire, any wind can just extinguish that flame. So what you need to do is to protect that little flame and put things that are going to help that flame grow. Because the whole world is trying to make you fit inside the box. That's why I have 2 boxes. And what is even more crazy is that this box is called Success in a Box. And that I spent months working in this box. I went to an investor fair, I pitched the box trying to find investors. And then after some weeks, I realized, shit, success is not a box. It's not something that I go and buy and what is there? Boots? Yeah, nice, but this is just someone else's success. This is not my success. So what I realized is that, honestly, for me, in this point, I've been changing so much in the last 2 years. Like, it has been so crazy. It's like starting from scratch. I'm just going to ignore what success means for everyone else, and I'm just going to protect that little spark, that flame, that burning desire, and feed that with faith, with confidence, with passion, with gratitude, because every day is a beautiful day. Even if it's horrible, miserable, everything, you are still alive, which is everything, right? And the moment when that ends, it's like game over. You don't have a second chance. So I'm just going to protect that and feed that little spark, and at some point that is going to grow and grow, and it's going to be a big flame. And when I have a big flame, a big fire that fills the whole room, then I'm going to be able to burn that box where everyone wants to make me fit, but I can't because I don't want to fit inside any box. Thank you.
Wow.
Feedback.
So how does it work? Shall I start with the feedback? Or?
Yes, please.
In the middle?
Yeah, can you see that?
Xiomara, what a great speech. I treat it as your icebreaker because the previous speech was like impromptu and it was completely different that you presented today. And I can see the difference. Obviously you prepared yourself, but you spoke from your heart, from within, and I think that everyone could feel that. I like the beginning I felt that there's clear structure. There was a beginning, your story, something about yourself, and the conclusion at the end. So that was very good. And I like your confidence today, because previously, for example, you giggled a lot, so that was kind of like a little bit insecure. You seemed to be a little bit not confident, but today you were just yourself. That's how I felt. And you used your notes and your gadgets, and very confidentially actually, while speaking to us at the same time. That was very good. And obviously, I like how you used the little story about flame and the sparkle that is within you. And I think that was very, I don't know, motivational for all of us. So thank you.
Do you want to lead a group evaluation?
Oh yeah, if anyone would like to add something. Stella?
Yeah, I wrote a couple of things just right now. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very fair. It was incredibly honest and open. It was very easy to connect with you. You had that fantastic use of props, very creative, and you were very vulnerable. Actually, we could feel it at the end when I could feel your voice breaking a bit. So that was made very very easy for me to connect with you. The only thing I might invite you to improve is the eye contact. But other than that, I think it was great.
Thank you. Tony?
I thought it was absolutely amazing. For a first or second speech, or a 7th or 8th speech, I thought it was amazing. I found it moving. I mean, I really did. I was touched. I think there was a level of vulnerability and authenticity that sometimes, with speakers, including myself, isn't there. So I think that was it was almost like a masterclass in how to be real and how to be vulnerable and how to be just open and honest. And for me, there was love in there, there was compassion, there was vulnerability, it was brilliant. And it didn't feel scripted, it didn't feel rehearsed, and I don't mean that negative, I mean it as a compliment. It felt very real, very fresh, and very like it was literally just pouring out of you, like you were just a vessel and it was coming through. I thought it was absolutely amazing, so well done you. And I've got no recommendations at all.
Thank you, Tony.
And I'd like to add exactly the same in terms of how it was just a really powerful speech. I'd like to add the fact that I really loved your imagery, so your imagery around the spark and how you helped me see that and take part in it with you. And I think the thing about how you showed us your vulnerability gave me a great, that you were trusting all of us. You were trusting all of us to be there with you, and that felt really great. That you did that.
That's true, yes. Anyone else?
Yeah. I loved your immediacy when the posting fell, and you just dealt with it and said, oh, even that won't stay there. And then later on you say you adjusted and you said, well, maybe it wasn't meant to, and you see that. So I just love the way you used even something that just then happened. And that I thought was really good.
Thank you. That's right. Joe?
Yeah, I thought really good. I like the great use of hand gestures. They're protecting the flame, and you're very passionate about this. It came very clearly through, and you had structure there. I would like to have seen right at the beginning something to hook the audience. You've got about 7 seconds to attract their attention. I thought, you had an intro, but I thought it was a bit rambling. We talked, I didn't know what to think about, what to speak about, or whatever. Well, that didn't really matter. You should have gone straight into the jugular, straight into the point you were going to bring about.
Yeah, I was going to actually talk about that. Well done. And just to add to what every other person has said, which actually I must commend you. I mean, you making me take something home today. When you make a small fire within, when you make a small fire, any wind can extinguish it unless you protect it. 0. So, I mean, that was brilliant. And your analogy, your props. How I didn't know how to do that. It was excellent. I was recording, watching the video as well as you, and you moved forth and back, the way you dealt with the little circumstances you had when things were falling off you. That was brilliant. Just to add to what Jeremy said, you should have a proper structure according to what your project says is about organizing your speech. So if you had had an opening, most of your speech were detailed in body and conclusion. So there was no proper opening because you just went through telling us about how you didn't come up with a speech, but you were doing a speech. So you should have had an opening, then all those in the body, as well as the conclusion. Just a little thing about the conclusion. When you finished, you kind of finished the way you just scattered your body and threw your leg. Next time, don't do that. Okay? You've been given the opportunity to speak, and you did very well. So it's as if you are living there not confidently. You feel me? So we loved the speech, we loved everything about it, and you should live there and you walk away from there confidently. You own it, you boss it, just like he did yesterday. Okay? And you know the he I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he. Yeah. So you just boss it, you just walk away. It was a good speech.
Thank you,
Thank
Tony.
you.
So just last sentence from you, Xiomara. The sticker didn't even stick to you, so you are good enough.
Okay. Tony, you're up next.
So my talk is called Become an Ideas Machine. Now what does that mean? And more importantly, why is it relevant to each and every one of us? If you think about ideas, if you think about the real kind of mavericks in the world, the visionaries, everything starts with an idea. Think about Steve Jobs. Think about Wozniak. Think about the Google guy. Think about the internet guy. Think about anything that really, really is a monumental step change in the way that we kind of experience life. Whether it's technology, or it doesn't matter what it is, you get the gist of what I'm saying. It all comes from an idea, a fresh thought, an insight. I've been reading a book, from a guy called James Altucher. I highly recommend him. He has a book called Choose Yourself, but the one that I've been reading of recent is actually by his wife, but it was inspired from something that his husband does. And that's he dedicates and commits to having 10 ideas a day. And he doesn't edit, he doesn't look for the perfect idea, he doesn't try and think, oh, that wouldn't work, because he just runs with it. So he sits down and he thinks, I'm going to have, 10 ways I could speak more clearly, or 10 ways I could improve this app, or 10 ways I could connect better with my son, or whatever it would be. So he has a multitude of things. The thing itself, the topic or the subject matter for the 10 ideas that he's trying to achieve in a day, that's not the important bit. The important bit is the conviction and the commitment to having 10 ideas, to commit and saying, right, I'm going to do 10 ideas a day. Now, if you think about this logically, I know we're all kind of pretty good at maths, and this is quite a simple equation, but if you're doing 10 ideas a day, that's 3,650 days in a year, 3,650 ideas in a year, and that's assuming it's not a leap year. That's a lot of ideas. Now let's be realistic here. Let's say, okay, 99% of the ideas, supposedly, and this is quite harsh, don't make the grade. Only 1%, 1 in 100 do. That's 36 and a half, so we'll call it 36 ideas a year. 3 a month. So I'd like to ask you a question. How would that impact what's important to you? For example, finances. Think about finances. Think about if you could have 3 ideas a month, 3 fresh ideas, and these are good ideas because we've been the 99% that weren't. So 3 ideas a month about how to improve your finances, or how to improve your business. Just think about it for a minute. 3 ideas. It's not a lot, is it? 3 ideas a month. What about your health? Your health. 3 ideas that you can improve your health. Alistair, give me one idea about your health.
Stay consistent with exercise.
Cool. Give me one about Your finances.
Don't buy that many clothes.
Okay. Do you see how easy that took Alistair 1 or 2 or 3 seconds, and the same with yourself, to come up with an idea? So we're not looking for the perfect, finished, polished idea. We're looking just to get ideas going. And just like when you go to the gymnasium, you don't go to a gym and you start exercising on a regular basis, it gets easier. We stretch our muscles, we stretch our, capacity. You know, we kind of push ourselves, we push ourselves. It's the same with ideas. It's exactly the same with ideas. It starts off, it might feel a bit clunky. With all respect, so what? It doesn't matter. You're not trying to impress yourself, you're just trying to get into the habit of writing down 10 ideas a day. That's it. It doesn't matter. Next day, think of something new. How could I... And again, the topic doesn't matter, I can't stress it enough. You're not looking for the perfect topic. You just want to get in the habit, like going to the gym every day. You're not looking for the perfect workout. You're just looking to go to the gym every day, knowing that whatever your goal is, whether it's flexibility, mobility, cardiovascular, build muscle, weight loss, whatever it would be, it doesn't matter. The important bit is that if you go every day and you're kind of doing what you commit and do what you say you're going to do every day, you will go in the direction of, and it becomes easier and easier and easier. 10 ideas a day. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Do you know why? Because it is. 2 or 3 seconds to come up with an idea. 2 or 3 seconds. And we've all got this infinite flow of thought coming through our heads. It just comes. It just comes. Does anyone write? Articles, books?
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever had writer's block? Me too.
Yes.
Because I was looking for the perfect start. I was looking for the perfect word, the perfect sentence. The second that I thought, like I'm not going to swear, but the second I thought, sod that, forget it. Just write. I wrote rubbish and I wrote all sorts of nonsensical things. And slowly but surely the good stuff got coming. And then you can edit. So much like we threw away the 99% and we keep the 3 a month or 36 a year, the 1% of the good ideas, you do the same with writing. So my kind of question, my kind of offering to you guys is, would you consider for a week or a month or for 3 months, just consider, you don't have to agree to it, you don't have to anything, just consider, just be open to the possibility that there might be some value in this for your health, your finances, your relationships, your anything, it doesn't matter what it is, absolutely anything. That's what I'm asking. How to become an ideas machine. It's easier than you think. It can happen today. It can happen on the way home. You don't just write things down. It sometimes helps when you do. How to become an ideas machine. That's my offering. That's my speech. I am all done. The rest is down to you guys. Thank you very much. Who was...
Oh, yes, me.
Oh, you forgot.
No, I didn't. Thank you. That really did make me think. I think it made the rest of us think. You did, I love the words you used in there as well, like visionary, monumental, so that really sort of brought us in with a really loud vision actually. And they were also, when you were telling us about these just 3 thoughts and about how you have like 36 and 3 a month, you were talking about fresh thought, insight. So those words did generate that feeling of, look at this again in a fresh way. Conviction is a word you used as well. You could see that you started off with that and then broke it down and then broke it in a way where we could actually identify with the use of it individually and use some examples for us to connect it with individuals here. We maintained eye contact with everyone as you were conveying it to. And you asked for, then having generated that, you then tried another example besides finances and a couple of examples of what would you do. It was also about writers and writer's block and shared yourself, about yourself, giving yourself as an example as well. So I think and you then rounded off and asked, would we all consider that? And that was what you were wanting us to do. So I thought you had a very good, you brought it for us there, placed it before us to look at, again broke it down into little parts for us to be considering it, brought it personally to ourselves, and then went back to yourself at a personal level. I thought you did brilliantly there.
Thank you.
And the pacing, you had pauses in there that allowed us to think when you said 3 things. You gave us that gap too.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Shall I start with, Sue, did you?
Yeah, the first word I wrote down was intriguing, because you intrigued me with the idea that you came up with, the idea of the ideas machine, which I thought was great. And then from there, it's also it has inspired me, and what's inspired me about that is the infinite opportunities that can do that, and that actually you made it believable for me by doing that song. You know, you can take 3,600 and throw most of those out. You've still got stuff left. So yes, I really like that. So I thought the subject matter was really good, and you are very strong out there. So you're in a very strong position doing what you do out there. So I found that really useful, and I found your pace mostly fine. There was a point in it where you before you stopped and asked us to think. Just before that, it was all got a bit fast.
Okay.
So I think it's about holding on to that. It's a powerful message. I
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Stella was next, I'll take Stella then.
Yeah, so it was very engaging and natural, very thought-provoking. I really, the strongest point for me was when you actually invite people to take action. Not just because you gave them the specific action to take, but because you allow them to think if they will do it and for how long. So that was the strongest point for me. I think that you came across as an expert of what you were talking about. Definitely it was a very valuable point what you were giving, because I saw people taking notes as well as myself. So
Thank you.
Anyone else? Sorry, I'll go to Shamala.
Yeah, I wrote exactly 10 ideas a day, because at some point I stopped trying to evaluate and trying to see the way that you deliver, and I just buy the whole idea. Of course, 10 ideas, it's just amazing. But one of the things that I really love that you did is at the beginning when you were saying, you know, these guys, the Google guy, the technology guy, I would have done that in the wrong way, mentioning lots of people or lots of ideas, but you said, you know, you get what I mean, and you just move from spending time talking about other famous people, and then you introduce the idea. So I think that was beautiful, because instead of trying to say a lot, it was maybe not that many ideas, many things, but very powerful. One big thing, and then repeat the same. And at some point I was thinking, if you sell me a course, a tool, something to make 10 ideas, I would buy immediately, because I can see how confident you deliver the whole speech, so it was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Jeremy was next, and then I've got Alistair.
Right, Alistair first.
Alistair?
Okay, thank you. I love the audience interaction. I thought you made it look very natural. It's also a great way to keep everyone's attention. You also repeated your main point throughout the speech, which I also like, because sometimes people speak and you get to the end of the speech and you forget what the main point was. But I like that you repeated about 10 ideas. That's all. It's that simple. And I also love the ending about how it was left to the audience to go away and do something with the ideas you were sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kate, do you want to go next or come?
I just have little thing to add, because everyone commented so well, and nothing really to add big. But I remember previously you were speaking quite fast and always that being mentioned. But I actually realized today that I like your speed. Because if someone is speaking too slow, I start drifting away with my thoughts, like what I'm going to do at home in the evening or something. And you kind of, keep my attention all the time.
Seriously?
You know what I mean? So So I like your speech.
Thank
Yes.
So you do that.
If someone,
Secret sounds.
no, but that's true.
Right.
If someone is too slow, then you think, okay, fine.
They want to.
You are
Right,
drifting away.
okay.
Yeah.
Great speech. You inspired me to give it a go. Excellent. Some feedback for you that might help you. You asked us at one point to actually consider, but you didn't leave us a long enough pause to consider.
Okay.
You needed to leave us a bit longer to consider, so that we let our brains think. Hand gestures. You got great use of hands, but there were times when you sort of said like visionary. Yeah, I just wanted you to sort of really do the Martin Luther King bit, visionary.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to, you did it actually at one point. You did actually said infinite. You did that. Yeah, just be a bit mindful. Some strong gestures you could have put into that speech.
They were missing, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate that, Jeremy, thank you.
Emerson said, what you continuously do becomes easy. Not that the task has changed, but your ability to do it has increased. Okay, my turn. You know, last time when you did a speech here, the evaluation we gave and the recommendations was much more than the commendation. But this one, I don't have any recommendation for you, but to say do it again. I mean, you've become a master of the art. Your hand gesture, your vocal variety, your pace, everything was just spot on for me. It was just spot on. If I was to pay, actually, to come listen to this speech all over again, I will.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for
Really
that.
appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Molly.
Xiomara.
Alistair.
Am I okay here?
Of course you are.
Yeah.
Alrighty. If I were to drop my glass, it would smash and break. This glass is fragile. Most things made by humans are fragile, but there are some things that actually get stronger when they're exposed to harm. These things are called anti-fragile. I'm not talking about robustness. Something is robust if it is neither improved or harmed. The term I'm using tonight has a very specific meaning. Anti-fragile is anything that benefits from disorder or gets stronger when placed under stress. The term was coined by the author Nassim Taleb, and he came up with the phrase because the phenomena of things getting better when placed under harm or stress doesn't actually have a word for it in the dictionary. And I think the word provides a novel and useful way of looking at things in the world. And tonight I want to explore the different ways anti-fragility plays a role in our lives. And I hope by the end of tonight I can get you to see that harm can sometimes have hidden benefits. For starters, anti-fragility can take place within your own body. It's why muscle growth works. You lift bigger and bigger weights that cause tears within your muscles that then overcompensate and grow. It's also why vaccinations work. You inject yourself with a small dose of poison, your immune system fires up, and you're left with a much stronger immune system. Fasting has recently come into fashion, but the ancients knew about the benefits of it thousands of years ago. And I try to go on a 3-day fast every couple of months. When you fast, your immune system, your body tries to conserve energy, and one of the ways it does this is by killing off any white blood cells that can't survive without food. And so when you do eat again, the energy from that food goes into creating new white blood cells, which are actually stronger than the ones that couldn't survive without food. It's another example of something that's anti-fragile. The concept of anti-fragile can be applied to systems. I'm going to compare two ends of a spectrum. The first is the banking system. When one bank crashes, that actually increases the chances of another bank crashing. This is because all the banks are caught up in a web of lending money to each other, and the system hasn't changed since the 2008 crash. It's a highly fragile system. Disorder hasn't improved it. But to compare that to the aviation industry, when a plane crashes, a report is made, all the faults are examined, it's fed into a central database, and other airline companies get access to it. This is to ensure the same mistake doesn't happen again. Pilots are also given an immunity if they make a mistake whilst flying, so long as they report it within 10 days. In the aviation industry, mistakes are not seen as career stoppers, but ways to improve the overall industry. When a plane crashes, it actually increases the chances of you having a safer flight in the future. This is an anti-fragile system. Disorder has improved the overall efficiency. The concept of anti-fragility can also be applied to mindsets. It's about using adversity as fuel, or obstacles, any obstacle you face actually becomes a springboard. I'm sure most of you have heard of post-traumatic stress disorder, where events are so traumatic for someone, that individual is left in a state of high anxiety. But there's also an opposite to it that a lot of people don't know about. It's called post-traumatic growth. And that's where the individual develops positive attributes in response to a deep challenge. To sum up, the concept of anti-fragile can be applied to humans, like when we place ourselves under a certain amount of stress, like exercising or fasting or doing this right now, actually makes us stronger. The concept can also be applied to systems like the aviation industry, where a plane crashing has actually improved the overall efficiency. Finally, the world looks like it's getting more disordered, but we can benefit from this. All we need is an anti-fragile mindset.
Somebody is on top form.
Yeah. This is like a TED conference.
Yeah, I mean, it just gets better and better, doesn't it? I mean, it was really an excellent speech on more than one level. It was incredibly informative. I mean, it was a difficult subject in terms of, talking about a banking system and aviation. They're not easy things to necessarily understand, but you were very clear. There were not too much information, so we could understand where you were going. And what a great concept, anti-fragility. It's actually taking that and recognising what the benefits is. And you told us right at the beginning, after having found your place, which is something I thought was important to point out, you found your place up here and your voice was good, is you then told us how we were going on a journey, what journey we were going to go on, and you were going to explore ways. And you talked about muscle growth and how vaccines work, and you talked about fasting and systems. And I really like the way you put those two together, the banking and the aviation, and just the analogy of one going down and the rest do. But actually, yeah, you're quite right. Any time a plane goes down, we learn from that mistake. And bringing that into the kind of humanity of what we are and what we can do around that. And isn't it interesting that many of us in the room have heard about post-traumatic stress disorder, and I don't know if anybody else has ever heard of post-traumatic growth. And isn't that an interesting concept, that we're not seeing the things that you can benefit from as opposed to the things that destroy and disrupt. You then took us to the summing up. So, your order worked really well. You had your beginning and your middle, and you summed us up at the end. And you talked about what makes us stronger, what makes what the world disorder and how our mindsets can change. And there were a couple of words that I liked. I mean, you used obstacles as a springboard, making those connections. It was a really good speech. It was well put.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to take one? Echo. Yeah, thanks.
I think that was quite a complicated topic, really, so you did very well. I've got this feeling that there wasn't any space really to kind of add different stuff. You had to know what you're talking about actually, and the examples couldn't actually just be, I don't know, taken from now and then. You had to actually know to read about it and be prepared. So I'm surprised actually very well. Thank you.
I thought it was a brilliant speech. I mean, you could see where you said where you were going to go with it, and then you went along with it, and again you kind of told us what it was, and then you again gave us some examples and different spheres of it, and then you conclude with bringing back then to saying as well as me at this point, for us on a personal, besides external bits of banking and you then got to the sort of muscles and then got to sort of showing how, for instance, this that I'm doing now, which immediately makes us all connect, so you connected at different levels. And what was so tremendous for me was that you made eye contact all the way along. You were able to connect with everyone in the room, well, from where I was, it would appear so. And that, I thought, was quite formidable as well.
Thank you.
Stella?
Yeah, the first point that I wanted to raise actually was the amazing change that you had in the eye contact. I could see how you were systematically going through all of us. And you were actually, I could see that you were actually paying attention to do that. I love the examples that you did. I see they were great. I could think of a human being, but other than that, I couldn't think of any example of anti-fragile. So now I can have a better idea of it, just with the example of the airplane, so I think that was great. I thought it was a very interesting topic. The only thing that I would add is that it would be great if you could use a little bit more your body to support your message, because it's usually very interesting, it's amazing, but I think it could be much stronger if you include some body language, as sometimes you get a bit stiff. But it was great.
Cheers.
Thank you.
I would just say, you spoke the way you dressed. I don't know if you understand me. The way you dressed up, your outfit was the way the speech was. It was very, very, very you. Just like Sue said, I wrote that word down. I think I'm going to do a speech about it. You found your place at last. And it's right there. Keep speaking. It was awesome. No, for sure, because the truth is, more often than not, we don't know what we can do until we try. And you've tried and tried and tried, and now I think you know what your voice is, what your place is, and where you belong. And lots of people, if I've got to benefit from you yesterday, as well as today, you imagine the amount of persons that are going to benefit from you when you speak, whether on this thing or in front of a live audience. You've got a voice and you've got a message. I think millions of people will want to hear you talk.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I would just like to add sort of the growth in confidence in the last sort of few speeches for me have been tremendous. It really has. You owned that. You had presence up there. You owned that stage. Everybody was listening to you. And especially at the beginning, you hooked them in. You had a very clear structure. You focused down to one particular topic. And you were using the glass, dropping the glass, fragile. I'm going to talk to you about anti-fragile. Great use of props, great use of structure. Excellent. I'm looking forward to your next speech.
Cheers.
I like being fragile. Thank you.
Can I just say, Alison, I think the transitions were seamless. Like Jeremy just mentioned, from literally kind of starting with the glass, and again you walked so casually and confidently and put it down, and you transitioned into what you were going about anti-fragile. I thought it was a fascinating subject. It was a brilliant subject, and I was kind of interested and fascinated by how well structured and how well presented it was, and researched obviously. But then I really kind of peaked when you said, you used the word intrigued earlier. I kind of got really intrigued and excited when you said about the mindset thing. So that's my kind of thing. And it was like, yeah, it's relevant to every single person. That was the bit I thought I loved it. If I could make one single observation or recommendation, it would be, I loved it all the way through, apart from the last 2 seconds. because you kind of, you were amazing, and as Tony said, you were absolutely unapologetically you, super confident, super composed, and then the last 1 or 2 or 3 seconds, you kind of, I've actually forgotten what you said, and I remember most of the rest of the speech. The last little bit, I think, could have just been slightly more powerful, and then you kind of shrunk as you walked off. And I would love to have seen you keep that same confidence that you had presenting literally to your chair. I don't know if that's helpful or not, but
Yeah, definitely.
but the rest of it I thought was brilliant.
Thank you.
These guys are good. Wow. Great.
My turn now.
Yeah, your turn.
I'm disappointed. I haven't done anything today actually to make the day feel that I've done something to make my dreams come true. And I've been busy all day, don't understand me wrong, but I haven't done what I wanted really to do, what I'm thinking every day about. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to talk today about how to plan your day. I remember once Benjamin Franklin, he said very interesting sentence that if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And he actually couldn't say it any better. Because if we don't plan our day, then we just take the day as it comes. We can be busy all day long, cutting the grass, painting the room, cooking the dinner, on top of going to work and doing, our everyday usual stuff. And we can be busy and always think that, oh, I still didn't, repair the curtains, or I didn't, replace the tires in the car. But it's not about that. You need to plan your day, so then you make your dreams come true. So then you fulfill your dreams. So to do that, the best way is to basically take a pen and paper and plan it. It's easy as that. But I'd like to ask you, how many of you actually is planning your day the day before? But I'm sure many of us heard about it, that that's a good strategy. If you want to take most of the day, just take the pen and paper or software or application on your phone and actually plan it. It's easy, I just briefly tell you how to do it. Pen and paper, just write the task, all of them, the most important, the least important, write it down and then mark which ones are needed urgent attention, or these ones which can be done a little bit later. And actually the cons are unbelievable really doing that. You're more efficient, you are coming closer to make your dreams come true. I talk about it, make dreams come true, but we all have some kind of dreams or some plans, some strategy for our life. And then you're more efficient, more happy, and you've got more time. Because if you do that, you actually follow your list, and then you find, oh, actually I've got more time. And you can do it the day with the rest of the day, whatever you want. So, and maybe actually even at the end of the day you find the time to think about 10 new ideas for life, for your health, or for business. So there's lots of good things about it. Also, most probably you would like to hear how I plan my day. No, I do the same like you. No, I don't. But I think that was on the first meeting when Jeremy said, if you want to remember something better, teach people this. So I thought, I will talk today about something which I'd like to remember and maybe kick my butt at the end and do this tomorrow. And as I'm standing here, actually I'm going to do it tomorrow, because promising it to all of you actually makes me kind of to do it. So I'd like us to think about the quote of Benjamin Franklin, that if we fail to plan, we're planning to fail. And maybe you will plan your day as well. Let's start the day. Thank you.
I think it was beautiful. It was really, I loved the pace. It was really calm and really not trying to rush all the ideas. I thought that even though, I don't know if you wrote the whole speech or not, but it came like very naturally, like if you are talking with your friends and something like, or your family, instead of remembering words, it was very natural. So I love that. And I think it was nice that you show or highlight the benefits a couple of times. You are more happy, you are going to have more time, maybe to have 10 ideas, connecting with the audience. And it was nice and unexpected when you say that you don't plan your day. It was like, what? She's telling me to plan, but she doesn't plan. So I think that's nice because you kind of, it's an unexpected twist. So I really like it. I think it was really nice, very calm and easy, and with a nice structure. Like it was really easy to remember the key point, and at the end you came back. You used again the same quote from Benjamin Franklin, and I think using the same idea twice is a really good idea to help the people remember. Anyone have any feedback? Stella.
Well, I'm going to compare this to your last speech, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Compared to the last speech, I saw it was much clearer. It happened. I'm gonna say something that I should be telling myself, just as you did with yourself in the speech. Less is more. Less was more. Last time you were trying to speak about too many stuff, and even it felt like were stuff left out. But this time it was very complete. It was very round. I think it got to the point like you wanted to influence, and I think you managed to do that, to have your idea across and put that seed into people's mind. And I like the fact that it was very honest.
Oh, thank you.
I love the message. I love the message. I think that the phrase, fail to plan, plan to fail, I live and breathe it every day. I fail to plan and I fail. But that's okay, I'm okay with that. But what I really liked about that is that was your message, and in that, I started off thinking, oh God, she's so organised. And then you said, and I don't do it, but I want to. And you kind of referred us back to a circumstance where someone had said to you before, if you want to do something, then talk about it. And that was a really powerful message for me. So not only was it a great message in its own, but actually when it took me to, I thought it was a really nice way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's elegant. I thought it was an elegant way to do something.
Thank you.
I thought that was a really powerful way to start the speech. You said you were disappointed, and I was trying to work out why you were disappointed. I just really liked the beginning of the speech. Again, great use of quotes throughout. And I also like the reference to Tony's idea about 10 ideas. And you were saying how if you plan your day, you can have enough time to implement Tony's idea. So great use of audience interaction there.
Thank you.
Tom?
Yes, please. Kate, Okay. Let me talk to you. Can you read both of us?
Should I run away now?
No, there's no escape. Not that long. The thing is, you did well. I love the content. The content was spot on. It was about failing and failing to plan. And good enough that you don't plan, but you told us to plan. And you kind of set a target for yourself that now you've told us, then this will make you to go start planning your day. But I want to say, in contradiction to Stella, it's just my personal opinion that I prefer the delivery of your previous speech to this one. In a sense that I think if you had more time to prepare, you would have done better in terms of posture and confidence. Because you were there, I was trying to actually force you out of you. I feel you weren't confident enough. You weren't commanding the stage as you should. You weren't being Kate. You were being your two little girls, trying to convey a story that is very, very important. So that I think I saw in you, and you just wanted to finish it, to give the message and finish it. So you actually used less time than the others, 4 minutes and 23 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I think that you just wanted to get it over with. But if you've got more time and more time to prepare, I think you'll do way better because it was very good content. So next time,
I had whole week to prepare. I just didn't take the whole week.
planning to fail. So I think you can always do better than what you've done today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the feedback.
Anyone else have more feedback?
Yeah. Thank you.
You want to
I think it's already been mentioned, I really loved that you actually said, having asked us all whether we did any planning, and then you came to yourself and then said, well, I'm the same, I haven't, but if I, just you know, if I am telling you about it, then that means I will probably remember it more and therefore use it. And I found that instead of when they say, no, preach what you practice or whatever, I like the way you turned that around and sort of said, well, now I'll be able to practice it because I've preached it.
That's
So
right.
there we are.
Yeah.
That was really
Thank
what
you.
stuck in my head. Thank you.
Right, I want to ask you a question. Did you feel more relaxed out there when you did the previous speech?
No.
You didn't?
No, because I forgot few crucial words which that would make the whole change in the speech. And yeah, that's what I said to Tony. I prepared for yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel even worse because you gave us, the whole description. Do 10 minutes every day. So that was even more pressure,
Right, because for me, you actually sounded slightly more relaxed out there.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's
I don't know why that was, but also you did a couple of things which really well. You used the quote at the beginning. Actually, go back right to the beginning. I'm disappointed. You opened up a knowledge gap with the people. In other words, why is she disappointed? Yeah. So that immediately got our attention, and then you sort of brought out the quote from Benjamin Franklin: "Failing to plan is planning to fail." And you brought that back at the end. You sandwiched the actual speech, which is really good. That's advanced stuff. Yeah? So you brought back you did the complete circle. I thought the structure in that speech was very good. And you had a very valid point to make.
Oh, thank you.
To keep more of that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was beautiful. Should I point that way?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Next.
So I'm going to ask amongst us here, have you got a dream? Have you got a big dream? Well then you, I think, will be familiar with terms like, do you know your why? Have you got a goal? Are you really prepared to do what it takes? I'm about to debunk such messages and theories. For it is not about your why or your goal. Rather, it is about the process of becoming. How so, you ask me? A tree struck by lightning is cleft in two, and a cross-section is made into a board table. From the end of that room to where our president lies. Kauri trees grow in New Zealand, and they grow